What didn't you learn in sex ed that should have been taught? Always pee after sex. This is so important, especially for females. Generally there is bacteria on those parts, especially when the man can't find the hole or did some extra rubbing or whatever. During sex the bacteria gets pushed into the urethra as it is positioned right above the vagina. And since women have much shorter urethras, it is easier for the bacteria to make its way into the bladder, resulting in a UTI. These can be incredibly uncomfortable and can lead to a kidney infection. Sometimes you won't even notice symptoms until it turns into a bad infection. Always better for both parties to clear it out though after. Someone once told me it's like rubbing a garden hose in dirt. You gotta run water through it to flush out all the stuff that will be packed in the end. 99% doesn't mean 100%. They should put that on the box. Consent is very important to discuss before you move on. Enthusiastic consent. Wheedling it out of someone after pestering the shit out of them is not right. That person does not want to have sex. I'm still salty about this after all these years. My Catholic school didn't teach us about condoms as they thought it would encourage us to have sex. Fortunately the magazine More did. I brought it to school and showed everyone. That is fucked. Yeah, the Catholics are also heavily responsible for the spread of AIDS in Africa, as they told all their Catholic folk in Africa that condoms were evil, or satanic, or whatever the phrasing they used was. How to use sanitary female products. I am a guy and this was never taught to me. My ex taught me when she suffered an injury. She was an amateur boxer. She had messed her back muscles, so she wasn't supposed to use her arms at all, and in fact the doctors applied something to numb the arms completely to avoid further injury while she endured therapy for 2 months. During that time I helped her with every task: bathroom, shower, food, etc., and obviously her period too. But I was clueless on how to properly utilize a tampon. I knew the theory, but I didn't know it had a plastic thing to insert it, which I found pretty neat. As a guy, I believe this should be taught, and guys should even carry sanitary pads in case a female friend needs it for an emergency. It shouldn't be a taboo at all. Kudos to you, mate. Much respect to you from a female being over here. For the men out there who have foreskin, it can be pulled back, and it can stay there, and the only way to get it back into its place is by pushing it. Like unsheathing a sword. Ultra rusty. Also, we need to pull it back and clean it in the shower. Most men don't know this, and it can get unhygienic, smell bad, and lead to infections. Greater than most men don't know this. Wait, what? What guy with a foreskin doesn't know this? Pretty sure there's been quite a few stories on Reddit about Redditors not cleaning their foreskins and regretting it after they do. Shampoo is bad lube. What about real poo? If you're into that. Also, happy cake day. Our sex ed class was taught by our fucking insane super Christian gym teacher. I learned nothing about sex from it, but had to sit through 2 videos where they showed abortions being performed. Thanks small town public school. I was only taught about an STD for about 20 minutes. Then my very Christian teacher decided that was enough and continued the conversation about how turtles will go to heaven. And yes, I am being 100% serious. I was taken out of that school after telling my parents. The latex in condoms can partially dissolve in oil-based lube. Oil products and other oil products like to mix and become different oil products. Synthetic latex is made out of oil, KY jelly, and other water-based lubricants are not. Feel free to mix your latex condoms with water-based lubricants, with reduced risk of pregnancy via potentially melting condoms. It's a really good lesson to learn for a lot of different fields. Lots of applications. 2 examples. Only use water-based lubricants on oxygen concentrators. A mixture of oil and high oxygen concentration is a recipe for singed eyebrows, to say the least. Second example is mixing high-density polystyrene with gasoline in the right ratios makes a slurry that is highly viscous, sticks to everything, especially clothes, and is quasi-flammable. Not especially, only in sex ed. Women also like and want sex. I wish I knew that sooner, so I wouldn't have to feel like I have to talk the girl into having sex with me. That's how it always felt to me. Especially because a lot of women like to be submissive. Same. I was taught that men naturally want sex, and women don't. Women only have sex when pressured into it, or in some cases as a reward for a man doing good. That the clitoris is the most sensitive part of the body for most women, and that you need a lot of foreplay to make her coup monsieur. Luckily I learned that before my first time. It would have been awkward. Also, for most women it's so sensitive that you cannot go rubbing or licking it like a lunatic, like they show in porn. You have to be really gentle and follow her lead. She will let you know if you need to go faster or slower. First times are supposed to be awkward. Didn't have sex ed sadly, but I did learn about sex at 10 thanks to a small part played where my female cousins were searching up naked men, so I decided to look up naked women, and bam, it all spiraled from there. I was very scared that this story was going to go differently. The only stuff I've learned is from running into it online, since my parents opted me out. Skeptical smiley face. Hey, feel free to ask questions or search online if you need any help or are confused about anything. Can you get pregante? Am I pregnant? How to get virginate? Am I pregnant? Number 38 plus 2 weeks #PREGANANANT. I needed that laugh. Thank you. And thank you Yahoo Answers for years of context. Boys should be taught about periods. They never taught us anything about same-sex. I remember in senior school, year 9, so around 14 years old, having biology class and being given the sex ed talk. My teacher had a box at the front of the desk to place questions anonymously, and I, being the not out yet teen male, asked about some specifics on gay sex. I remember the teacher opening the box and pulling out my question, reading it aloud and laughing, along with the whole class, before screwing up the question and saying, "We're not discussing this." I have never felt so ashamed to be gay, and I had to figure it out on my own. But I've had no complaints so far, so Musta got something right. See, this right there is a story of a teacher that should not be teaching sex ed. There is just so much wrong with that situation, and I am terribly sorry you had to deal with such a stupid moron. I honestly didn't know how gay people did the do until I walked into a public toilet early one Saturday morning and there were 2 blokes at it. Some things can never be unseen. You guys had sex ed? No, I had to Google this shit when 12. Uncle Bobby is dangerous. Hey, what did I tell you about using the internet and talking to strangers? Love Uncle Bobby. Bobby, can you please not use our magic wand today? What the fuck that third hole do? Gets you a visit from the ATF. But there are latex-free condoms. They're just fucking expensive, like $1 each. Still cheaper than babies, I suppose. $2 annual cost is not very expensive at all. So many things. Female masturbation is a thing, not just male. They talked a lot to the boys about how it's normal for young boys to do that, but why would you mention that to girls? Right. Also anything about communication. Screw that. They talked about consent a bunch. Sure, but the amount of people that don't realize you should actually talk about that stuff beyond you wanna is astounding. Sex toys were completely left out. Contraception isn't limited to condoms and the pill, but why make things complicated? They completely ignored kinks and fantasies and different tastes as well. I get why, but damn, so many people would have benefited from having someone explain that shit. There's so many kinks and fantasies out there that it would take up too much time to talk about. I think that's more of a self-discovery thing than being told about what kinks there are out there. Just a simple disclaimer about kinks and how everyone has their own and shouldn't be ashamed of it should suffice. Lube, condoms. Women have 3 holes. We don't pee from our vaginas and we can't hold in menstrual blood. I don't know about lube, but condoms definitely should not have 3 holes. That flavored condoms and regular condoms are not interchangeable. Flavored condoms will give people with vaginas a yeast infection if there's penetration involved. Flavored condoms are strictly for oral sex. Regular condoms can be used for oral theoretically, but not advised. The taste can't be pleasant. My town banned sex ed. Why? Just why? Religion. Yup. Was sex ed a person? I would have him banned from town too, I think. He's already been banned from playgrounds for years. Female arousal. I completely missed that. I didn't know that I could become aroused at all. I did understand lubrication. All I knew is that guys made jokes about it. I just thought it was supposed to hurt. Anal sex should be explained in high school so kids don't fuck it up. Don't fuck an asshole then a vagina, that's how you get a UTI. Prepare. It's not something you do, no planning, no stretching first time. Use a small toy fingers beforehand if you don't plan on taking it super slow first time. Teach people their prostates can feel good. You need to wear a condom. Shit can drip down and get you pregnant. Also STDs. They don't teach about orgasms here. I already knew about orgasms, but they never mentioned it once. Women only get pregnant when they're ovulating. You should of course always practice safe sex, but knowing when your partner or yourself is ovulating can help you be extra careful if you're avoiding babies. That's not entirely true. Women can get pregnant at any point in their cycle, but they are incrementally more likely to get pregnant while ovulating. Ovulation is a requirement for pregnancy, but the sex doesn't necessarily have to happen while she's ovulating. She can still get pregnant otherwise. It's a matter of probability. Each person is different, and each cycle is different. There are no guarantees where hormones are involved, especially when the lady in your life has an irregular cycle, or if you want babies. You should sometimes do stuff you don't love but never stuff you hate. I was told in sex ed that I should never do things I don't like in bed. Worst advice ever. Unless I hate it, I'm up for things that gets the other person turned on. Imagine if I wouldn't love giving head. If I wouldn't love anything in bed but to stick the penis in and come immediately. If I only followed that preference, I would become very sad and lonely when nobody ever wants to fuck me ever again. I learned that saying from an older woman, not a sex partner, who lived by those words and divorced her husband. Never learned to roll a condom on anything. Didn't really learn all that much, if anything, to do with HIV. Wasn't told to urinate after intercourse. There was absolutely no education on gay sex or possession of sex toys, how to clean, etc. Wait, your teacher didn't get you to practice rolling condoms on his hard member? You went to school with Tom? That you can withdraw your consent during and stop. That my no can be communicated in other ways than a verbal no, and should still be respected. If I don't have the ability to say no because I'm scared he will kill himself if I say no, that is not consent. That you are more likely to be forced or coerced into sex by someone you know, and that is rape. And that being forced to not use contraception is also rape. I learned all these the hard way, and my sex ed was generally considered better than elsewhere. Is quite sad. Sex is fun and not just for procreation. I wish we spent less time putting condoms on bananas and more time talking about how to actually please a partner. It seemed all we ever did was just put condoms on bananas. Side note, our sex ed teacher went to Mexico 1 year and just never came back. FCK and consent. Positions. It would disingenuous of me to claim I paid attention in sex ed class. That sex isn't strictly just between a man and a woman. Fuck church-funded schools, man. And there's more involved than just P and V. I broke the news to my mom a few years ago when she saw lesbianas on TV and wondered aloud how they have sex. Fun times, lol. Use lube so the condom doesn't break. As long as it's not oil-based. I never had a sex ed class. If not for the movies, anime, video games and my friends, I would have never even have known what even a condom or sexual intercourse is. I once saw a hentai website that had condom as a separate genre. Like, asterisk, oh wow, this kitsune is using protection. Oh lord, that turns me on, asterisk. Thank you so much for watching and have a good day.